All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our Mid-Atlantic Tech Bridge, where today we're going to learn more about the Global Expeditionary Logistics Symposium. So we are here in the Assembly Building. Obviously, you all are out there virtually, but thank you all so much for joining us. So we ask that if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat throughout the presentation, and we'll hold those until the end, so we'll leave some time for that. And then at the end will be a really short survey for you to take on this presentation. And I think that is it. So without any further ado, right, Mid-Atlantic Tech Bridge, we are hosting these. I'm going to turn it over to one of our co-directors, Gerald Walker, to talk a little bit about MATB.
Thanks, Tina, and thank you everyone for joining us today for this Tech Talk. A little bit about the Mid-Atlantic Tech Bridge. We're under the Office of Naval Research, Naval X Program Office. Our primary goal is to be a super connector between the innovative, non-traditional organizations that are working on advanced technologies and capabilities that match with the interests and needs of the Navy and DoD. We're sponsored by 3 different warfare centers: the Naval Information Warfare Center Atlantic, Hampton Roads Detachment, which is where I'm from, the Naval Surface Warfare Center Powder Rock Combatant Craft Division, and the Naval Surface Warfare Center Dahlgren Dam Neck Activity. We are constantly in communication with industry, with academia, with federal and state research organizations, constantly trying to identify the innovative technologies that will keep our advantage from a DoD perspective. I am very happy to turn. Talk about our Kia partner, 757 Collab, which has been a great help to us, and I'll turn it over to Joe to explain a little bit more.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joe DeMille. I'm with 757 Collab. We are the Kia partner with the Mid-Atlantic Tech Bridge, helping to facilitate all of these events, both virtual and in person. On the slide, you can see there's 4 verticals that fall under the larger umbrella of Collab, and those are the 757 Startup Studios, which are for very early stage startups in the ideation phase. And then we've got the 757 Accelerate program, which is for later stage companies that are already earning revenue and that are looking to expand rapidly, acquire investments and potentially make an exit. And we have the 757 Angels that are powered by Ventures South, the 3rd largest angels group in the country. And that's our investment arm. And then the last vertical is called 757 Innovative Partnerships, and that's where we do customized programming for community partners who want assistance running anything from mentor roundtable events to training for their people.
All right, thanks, Joe. All right, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Greg Lewis here. So give me a second while I pull up his slides, and he is going to talk to us about gels.
Outstanding. Hello, everybody. Greg Lewis. We'll just wait while the slides pull up. I am the retired Marine logistician. Oh, there we go. Retired Marine logistician. Retired in 2016, right out here in Virginia Beach, actually, at Fort Story. As fate would have it, I actually started my Marine Corps here. I went to Expeditionary Warfare Training Group Atlantic, and that's where I became a young logistician, and then I retired here in 2016. So excited to be here at the Naval X Mid-Atlantic Tech Bridge. Have connected with you guys for several years now, and excited to see how this organization is growing, how Naval X is growing, and how it's just helping the innovation ecosystem evolve here in Hampton Roads and globally. Actually, I know Naval X is hubs all around the world, which is awesome. So. Well, a little bit. So we've got the slide out there for the Global Expeditionary Logistics Symposium GELS. What I'd like to talk to you about, this is going to be hosted by the Association of Marine Corps Logisticians and the Center for American Studies at Christopher Newport University. So a little bit about AMCL. We've been around for a couple of years, this is going to be our third in-person symposium, and we did have a virtual one during COVID in 2021. So this is our third in-person. We're very excited about that. We've had all three of them at Christopher Newport University, and they have been phenomenal hosts. I believe Dr. Nathan Butch is on the line, and he'll be talking later. But AMCL started out just a group of retired logisticians saying, hey, we need to have a venue, we're a 501(c), a venue where logisticians, logistics professionals, and when I say that, I'm talking about supply, logisticians, transportation, distribution, maintenance, engineering, all kind of get lumped over logistics. It is one of those panacea words that we should say, logistics. So we encourage all folks and from all ranks, and also are open to vendors being involved in sponsoring our organization. And so we like to create a space where we do that. So it started out, we were doing some regional sort of AMCL chapters near bases, so like Camp Lejeune or Camp Pendleton on the West Coast, National Capital Region, just hosting sort of informal events, 1 hour, get together, happy hour type of things to discuss logistics. And then the symposium morphed out of that, and and that was a great first round. It worked successfully in the COVID time online, and our first one in 22 was a great success at CNU, and we've been building up last year, and this year is going to be looking even better. We have rebranded this year. We're calling it's the Global Expeditionary Logistics Symposium, or GELS or GELS, however you'd like to call it. We want to emphasize that this is very much a joint logistics event, joint and coalition event. So it's not just for Marine Corps logisticians. I was a Marine logistician, and I know that we don't get anywhere without either the Navy or the Air Force or the Army moving us around, particularly with those strategic lift and so forth. So, and I think I've got a friend, John David Duvall, who's with the Logistics Officers Association, the Air Force, and is now at U.S. Space Force. And so I think in the future, we'll also be piggybacking rides when we eventually go into space. On Space Force rockets, we probably want to have our own. So we very much want to highlight that this is a joint event. It's also going to be a coalition event. We'll get to that more in the future there. But I'd like to just kind of, you can see kind of a picture up there of what we're looking at. This is globally focused. We're excited that it's here in Hampton Roads, obviously. This is one of those ecosystem locations. I'm also a member of the Future of Hampton Roads, and so we're excited about ecosystem development here in Hampton Roads, but also on the West Coast, Northeast, and Northwest, and working with our allies and partners. And we see this as an event that encourages ecosystem development, and we're looking forward to doing matchmaking and things like that to build up and to give our logisticians an opportunity to talk with vendors and so forth. So we'll dive into that schedule a little bit here in the next slide. So can you hit the next slide there? Okay, yeah, and obviously the QR code is there for folks that have not actually got, and that'll take you to the registration site and so forth. So there, I know you all can read the slides, but just to let everyone know, it's going to be August 6th through 8th, 2024 at Christopher Newport University, which is up in Newport News. It's on the other side of the Chesapeake Bay or the James River from us. So it's a little trip across the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel for those of us who love that. Great building project going on there, by the way. So it is going to be up in the peninsula. So approach from DC. You can come straight down to Newport News. You don't have to worry about crossing that bridge that is sometimes can get backed up. So so we're excited about having it up there. As I was talking about, GELS offers engaging thought leadership, innovation, and connection for logistics professionals across the Marine Corps, Department of Defense, industry, small business, and academia. And I will also put allies and partners in there. We've been reaching out to a couple of those folks. We do have the NATO headquarters here in Norfolk, and there's the NATO Innovation Hub that's here as well, NATO Allied Command Transformation, and a NATO Joint Command. So we're very excited about having, and we've invited those folks to come participate as well, and have actually we had a British General Wardlaw speak at last year's symposium about energy, and was really a crowd pleaser. Just did a phenomenal job. So if you can hit the next slide. So All right, here's some of the topics that we're going to be getting into. Similar, you'll recognize the topics that the logistics topics are kind of always similar to what we talked about last year. Emerging technologies. We're going to be talking about digital transformation, how data tools and AI are being used on the battlefield. How what is new, what's changing. We're going to talk about talent management. How are we recruiting? How are we building up our future force, preparing our logisticians for the challenges of the 21st century. We're going to have some leadership and professional development opportunities. I'm a business development guy and go to multiple symposiums and so forth. And so everybody knows that the panels are great and so forth, but a lot of the best part of these events is when you get together, you reunite with old friends and make new ones and talk business and talk about new ideas. And we've got some specific venues or events that are going to take place to drive that. We're going to talk about having an innovation culture and mindset within the Marine Corps and without, and emphasized by our participation here with the Naval X Mid-Atlantic Tech Bridge team. We're going to be talking about public-private partnerships. We're going to have some industry mixers. We had similar events last year. Where we have like the Scrum sort of stuff, we have yellow stickies and saying, hey, this is a problem set that I have. This is here's a solution set from industry that comes in. And so it just, there's some really great opportunities for vendors to get in front of the program managers with warfighters and so forth. And next we've got last year we did this, it was a very successful event. It was a contested logistics war game. We did a series of vignettes. It started out, we had a panel with several folks on the panel talking through several different challenges. And then we transformed and then out in our vendor lobby, we had a workshop that was open for the next 2 days for industry partners and Marines and soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine to get involved and to war game through several different scenarios that were presented by the group. And then the product of that was a document that came out that those of you that are on my distribution list have probably received it, which is just basically a summation of everything that came out of that workshop. And I'm not sure is Travis Reese on there? I'd be glad to kind of push this off. If you'd like, Travis, if you're out there, you can probably talk to this better than better than I did. Yeah. So if you'd like to, Travis, go ahead.
Travis, can you hear us? I'm
just getting a text from it might be some technical stuff. Travis, if you're up at some point, just raise your hand. We'll bring you in, but I'll just kind of push. Anyway, so we're going to be doing another workshop this year, and which is a great opportunity. What I like is it gives a chance for warfighters to actually look at a map and kind of play things. Obviously, it's going to be unclassed, but to practice tactics, techniques, procedures, and then for our industry partners to come in and say, hey, I've got solution X, Y, or Z, a widget, a program or so forth that's going to help you do this better, do transportation better, manage your warehouse better, et cetera. And how can that, how is that going to play out? How does that change the calculus in that game? And then Travis and his team will capture that data, and there will be a report that's generated. And that report is something that vendors can use, that our warfighters can use, and that procurement officials and so forth can use to look at and just say, it's a great product. I love folks having an opportunity to look at it.
So
Travis said he could jump. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, I'd like to tag in with Greg a little bit, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the wargaming initiative that was used last year. So one of the things that was kind of key with the association, and as Greg has talked about its evolution, it's now getting into the point where it would like to begin to influence the discussions in certain areas about logistics and with the Marine Corps in mind, but certainly recognizing that it's a joint solution and a naval solution, particularly for the Marine Corps. So this last year, I proposed, and we had the opportunity to address the contested logistics challenges as that was growing inside of both the service and the joint community, to begin examining those through service level war games, as well as some of the joint war gaming that's occurred. So from the perspective of the association in sort of an ex officio or an independent role, say, hey, look, what are some of the things that the association is viewing, both from the military perspective, but also from its industry collaborations that are occurring at the symposium, to introduce into the thinking around the design of various war games that we're beginning to ramp up in the joint space. And at the service level, particularly for the Marine Corps, and at the Warfighting Laboratory in Quantico. So, proposal to Greg, as he's described before, can we get a panel in there of recognized experts across both the Marine Corps and joint community, and from the different perspectives of logistics, both from a consumer, i.e. your average infantryman who's receiving something forward, and then from the delivery and sustainment arm through the logisticians. Collect their ideas and run them through a series of vignettes. So we looked at both a tactical problem, an operational level problem, a strategic problem, and we also looked at it from an installations level problem too, relative to how forward installations would be the platforms for being able to project power and from which logistics would move. So ran the panel, did some wargaming demonstrations, wrote the report, and provided that independently to the communities of practice and community of interest to influence how some of the war games were being designed. In this next year, another round of contested logistics war games will be occurring at the service and joint level, particularly for the Marine Corps and the Naval Services. There's going to be a war game in October at the Naval War College. So in continuation of that effort and to improve visualization, this year we're going to do another wargaming demonstration using some of the new digital wargaming tools that are available, and also employing two wargaming designers, Kevin Williamson and Kurt Hudson. Kurt helped with last year's effort, and Kevin will be coming in this year. And Kevin has been working inside of the Marine Corps University and the Krulak Center to design student war games that are using some of the exact same questions and challenges that are happening at the secret and top secret level for service games. And then Kurt Hudson, who's supporting Army Futures Command and doing some of their contested logistics work. So the goal then is this year we'll take one of the vignettes from last year, we'll introduce that scenario, we'll do some digital demonstration of a contested logistics problem. And the difference, though, is unlike standard modeling and simulation, where this, of course, is a model and will be digitally demonstrated, it will have the qualitative features where you can interact with us as game designers and introduce a particular capability or thought in terms of a contested logistics approach, and view it from that perspective, like, hey, what are the what ifs of what if we had this capability, or what if we had this particular approach? And so we intend for it to not only be a demonstration of the problem to improve visualization, but also to be more interactive and qualitative, so we can see what some of the options are. And then we'll produce a report similarly that we did last year on a wargaming report for this particular vignette. And also, because we're using some of the tools we're looking for digital wargaming, this will also be data-driven. As opposed to much more subjective, you'll be able to see the interactions of the components, not only from the transportation, lift, distribution, sustainment standpoints and consumption within logistics, but also from the lethality perspective. What happens when an inside force conducting a naval campaign is trying to marry up with logistics that are coming from an external environment and trying to penetrate through that weapons engagement zone? And what are some of the struggles and challenges that looks like? And how does that improve with, say, prepositioning or other capabilities? Point being, too, from an innovation perspective, is if there are individuals participating in the symposium who have some novel technologies or processes, we're willing to play around with them a little bit for a day and see if we can't do another demonstration of how that changes at the mission and engineering level the outcomes for a contested logistics problem. So I'll pause there and turn the floor back over to Greg, but hopefully that gives you a sense of where we're trying to progress modeling and wargaming as a tool to address some of the innovation challenges that hopefully will be brought forward more in the association symposium this year.
Outstanding. Hey, thank you so much, Travis, and thanks again for the phenomenal job your team did last year. We're looking to build on that success this year, and to kind of build off that, I guess the next point down there is we're going to be talking about energy and installations, and Travis's team did have as you mentioned, it does look at beyond just the tactical level, looking at that high level installations. Gerald, you and I were just talking about the importance of bases and stations here at home. Christopher Newport University also has the National Defense Transportation Association's Service Force Projection Conference that just finished up a couple weeks ago, and that's got your Transcom folks, the ports, Port Virginia, Fort Winnie, and so forth that come, the folks that push the force forward, and it was really an interesting discussion because that is now, I would say, I would argue that the homeland is also contested terrain. We look at what's happening outside Fort Liberty with some attacks on the energy infrastructure just up the road at Langley Air Force Base. We had drones flying over, and that's where our Raptors are and so forth, and then drones flying over different installations. Quantico just had another truck that was driving on base and had to get stopped on some nefarious actors. So the idea that we're going to play this war in the box, which is the past 20 years, right? We're going to build our forces. At times it's 29 bombs, and you train, you force generate, and then you push forward and you go do your little war thing. And I don't mean to minimize what happened in Afghanistan by any means, but when we talk about global conflict, it's huge, and it's here in CONUS as well as OCONUS. I would say that the Caribbean is America's own first island chain. Not to be really dramatic, but we definitely need to we definitely need to be thinking about that. I know folks like Gerald are thinking about exactly that thing. How do we keep our installation safe, our grid, and so forth. We're also going to be talking about, as I did mention, it is a joint event, so we're going to talk about the Joint Logistics Enterprise, and then the Joint Deployment Distribution Enterprise, JDDE. We've invited the folks from team from Fort Greg Adams, which is up in the Petersburg area, and that's the home of Joint Logistics. Army Sustainment University is up there. There's a Marine Corps detachment up there. We've invited them to come down. I would argue that the Hampton Roads area, there's probably no better place to do a joint coalition logistics event than Hampton Roads. We've got the Navy Expeditionary Combat Command there. I used to work there when I was just retired. NECC, Military Sealer Command, Army Watercraft up at Fort Eustis, ACC that's up at Fort Langley. We've got Naval Special Warfare, as I mentioned, NATO's here, and Naval Warfare Development Center is here. Just go on, and I could go on and on about the commands that are located here. Marine Forces Command. Oh yes, I mean, missed my stuff about the Marine Security Forces up at Yorktown and so forth. So yeah, and we had the deputy for U.S. Transportation Command speak 2 years ago to our group, and so with that, I'll transition on to the next slide and we can start talking about some of our speakers. So our big keynote, which is great, hopefully our audience is familiar with this gentleman, General David Berger, the 38th Commandant of the Marine Corps, famous for many things, being the one that pushed force design in 2030, and was the driving force behind that. And he has received a little bit of feedback from folks about that, but I think we're all seeing that he was quite the visionary, and events, current events in the world, in Ukraine and elsewhere, are proving the wisdom of that. As a logistician, though, we're excited because he's the one that said logistics is the pacing function when it comes to war fighting. So he put logistics out in front and was a huge force of getting logistics to be seen as preeminent. Not just this supporting thing that it's got to follow. We build weapon systems, we build aviation platforms, and then logistics gets the scraps. We need, if we're going to be able to, if we're looking into a PACOM and the distances that we're going to have to travel over there, we really need to be thinking about logistics differently. So we're very excited. He's going to be coming and speaking on our second day, and so we're very excited to have General Berger Berger being one of our keynote speakers. Can you hit the next slide? So symposium themes, we have the title of our symposium is logistics in the fighting stance. So Marines are familiar with that. That we're poised, we're pointed forward, and then we're in the fighting stance in competition, in crisis, in conflict. For those that aren't familiar with it, the competition continuum looks at, and I know folks from Afghanistan are familiar with phase 0 to phase 5. This is a little bit along those lines, but basically we're always in a steady state of competition with peer competitors. National security documents talk about China, Russia, Iran, our different pacing threats and so forth. So there's just steady state competition, supply chains, access and influence, and so forth. So the first day will be focused on that, focusing on how we set the force, how we compete. Our logisticians are operating in contested terrain. You look at places like Djibouti, where you've got a U.S. base, and just within eyesight is a Chinese naval base, right next to each other. And so we both operate out of that same pier. And places like Indo-PACOM in Europe, in Southcom, AO, we're side by side with our, I guess I call them our frenemies. So the next day is going to focus on crisis. That's when something spikes up, and there's something, something gets tense. There's a collision, there's a miscommunication, or we're reading something wrong. I know exercises can be sort of heightened because you've got a lot of forces that are deployed. We just saw what was going on in Taiwan, where the Chinese are responding to the Taiwanese elections, and there's exercises taking place around the Taiwan Strait. So that kind of pushes into this crisis. So how do things change? How do they stay the same as things ratchet up to a crisis scenario? How do our logisticians prepare for that when we, the steady state? Oh, Travis is on. Okay.
Did
I think we are.
I drop? All of a sudden my Zoom went away.
Okay.
You're still in, right?
Okay. I think we might have.
All right, so I just need to get back in. So if you want to keep chatting, I'll take myself.
Oh, we're still live. Okay.
We're still live because we've got many co-hosts, so.
Got me.
Yeah, good, yeah.
Oh, hey, thank you, Nick. No, Nick Rocha, yeah, great guy there. Yeah, so the third day is going to be a conflict, and that's when we're looking at, well, we hope to deter, but we always want to be ready for that eventuality. If that does happen, is what happens when things go connect and on a global stage. What does that look like? How do our logisticians respond? Travis mentioned, what happens when you're stuck on an island in the middle of the Pacific because you were there for an exercise and things happen, and now you're there. You've got to work with what you got. What do you have? What do the people to your left and right have? What do our allies and partners have? What does the local population that we can grab into? What happens here at home? We're going to be talking about. I was talking with you, Joe, about this. We're going to have a panel that's talking about building undisruptible warfighting installations. This idea that we push forces from our installations, yeah, that's a nice to have. That's 20th century. But I think, especially if you're looking at our bases like Okinawa and so forth, if something happens, it's going to be really tough trying to do a non-combatant evacuation operation. We're going to end up warfighting from those installations, and so we've got to think about that. What does that mean as a logistician? Our logistician's going to be commanding battle space. What if you're a logistics unit and you have to fight, right? We don't have. Logisticians do not have Geneva Conventions, right? We are in the fight as much as anyone. So, all right, can you push to the next slide there? All right, we've got a couple confirmed keynote speakers, and we have some that are invited. So we've got Mr. Joby Turner is going to be coming. Joby is out at Air Mobility Command at U.S. Transportation Command, and he is the author of Feeding Victory, Innovative Military Logistics from Lake George to Khe Sanh. So a great speaker, and we're looking forward to having him. We have invited General Mike Minahan from Air Mobility Command. For those of you who are familiar with Indo-PACOM, the Davidson window, Admiral Davidson said, we're looking at 2035. General Minahan came out and said, be ready to fight, which I knew Admiral Davidson was ready to fight tonight as well, but kind of looking at like, as technologies are developing, we're looking at 2035 sort of being that scary time out in the future. But General Minahan, I call it the Minahan window. He's like, he wrote a famous letter to all of Air Mobility came in, which is all your Air Mobility C-17s, your airlift tankers and so forth, saying be ready, have your bags packed, warfighting mindset. So we're hoping he'll come out, great dynamic speaker. We've invited Honorable Chris Lohman, who's the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Sustainment. Looking forward to him coming. He is it's the Regional Sustainment Framework. It falls under OUSD, ANS, Acquisition and Sustainment. Really exciting program that is out there, and hoping that he can come and talk to that. But just looking at how what's out there in the battle space with our allies and partners, particularly with regards to maintenance, what the maintenance facilities are out there. How can we leverage that without having to bring everything back to CONUS and do repairs on our planes, trains, and automobiles, I guess. Helicopters. We have invited Admiral Kenneth X, who is the commander of Naval Supply System Command, NAVSUP. It will be great to have him. NAVSUP is one of those logistics organizations that has a lot of forward logisticians around the globe, tremendous presence, and they are steady state in competition, and we want to hear about how they operate in competition, crisis, and conflict. And then we've invited Mr. Patrick Keller, who's a Principal Deputy Director of the Joint Staff J4 Logistics. Excited to hopefully get him to come to our event. And then our MC is none other than First Sergeant Brandon Smart. If you are not following him on LinkedIn, I definitely recommend following him. He is he's a great force of nature. He's out of Quantico at the he's the installation command senior enlisted there at the Quantico Air Facility. So we're excited to have Brandon as our MC. Can you hit to the next slide? And we have other phenomenal speakers and panelists invited and great vendors. So look forward to it there. I wanted to put our sponsors and vendors up on the screen for folks to check out. Thank you so much for those of you who have not logged in. Pitch, for those of you who have not, I know we've got a couple of folks that are mulling it. Please consider signing up if you're hearing about the Global Expeditionary Logistics Symposium for the first time. Now is your time to sign up and be a part of the fun. It is a great event. Obviously, I'm partial to it. I'm partial to it because I'm a marine logistician and I help to plan this event. But as a business development guy who goes to big symposiums, I won't name they're great in their own right. But ours it's got a great focus on logistics specifically, and it just has between the wargaming workshop, the mixture events, and the other activities that we have going on there. It's just a really great opportunity to mix it up, and you're able to take advantage of the different commands that are here in the Hampton Roads area. So strongly encourage if you have not signed up already as a sponsor. Please do contact myself or Dr. Nathan Bush or any members of the Association of Marine Corps Logisticians team.
And Greg, just Travis mentioned you're also looking for one for the wargame demonstration and discussion specifically.
Yes. So specifically, there's a great opportunity to sponsor the Contested Logistics Wargaming panel/workshop. So if you're online, connect with Travis on that and yourself. And we'd be glad to talk with you. Maybe we can get to the. Also, would like to announce that we are taking submissions for awards. We have an awards program for the first time this year. We're very excited about that. Major Mariela Pena has led the charge of this. Major Chelsea Scott, as well as some great logisticians, helped put this award program together. And our president, I didn't mention our president, Colonel Kirk Spangenberg, is the president of the Association of Marine Corps Logisticians. He is Busy, I never question when our uniform folks could not get on a call because they're actually fighting this fight. So, on behalf of our resident, I just would invite you, if you know Marines, and we can take submissions for other services as well, and civilian organizations that would like to submit on this. So we've got our Logistics Think Tank Award, sort of kind of forward-looking. What are some new ways that we can look at addressing 21st century logistics problem? A Logistics Fiction Award. So what does logistics look like in the future? Last year we did have Peter Singer, the author of Ghost Fleet, come and close out our symposium, and he moderated a couple panels, but along the idea of a ghost fleet for logisticians. So we're accepting awards on that. You can do everything from space to cyberspace to a terrain specific sort of vignette. We would love to hear from you. And then we've got the Major Michael Whitaker Award that is focused on data-driven logistics solutions. Major Michael Whitaker was just a phenomenal thought leader on this topic, and he passed recently, and so this award has been put together in his honor.
And Greg, is that on the active duty side, or is that open to like industry side of things too?
Yes, open to industry as well. Lifetime achievement awards for like retired senior logistician and I would say from multiple. So I know we've got the Eagle Globe and Anchor there, but we would welcome input from other services. So lifetime achievement award for someone that's done great things, has a legacy of logistics involvement and expertise. We love to. We are getting those packages, but we've got until the end of this month, June. For those submissions to come in, and I believe there are a few. We are looking for sponsors for these awards. So those of you folks who are mulling sponsorship or setting up a table, it's a great opportunity. And our award ceremony will be on Tuesday night, so we will probably have a special guest on stage giving your award. If you I don't know. Yeah, you can probably put two and two together. So yeah, it's a pretty cool opportunity to have a picture with something cool. Yeah, we can hit the next slide, and we've got to make sure we have some. I just wanted to highlight Association Marine Corps Logistician Partner Connections, Christopher Newport University, Dr. Nathan Bush. He is on the line. Dr. Bush, if you'd like to jump on and say a few words as our gracious co-host for the past for the past 2 years, and this will be your third year. If you'd like to chime in, go ahead, sir.
Oh, here you go.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Good. Well, yes, I'm Nathan Bush. I'm co-director of Christopher Newport University's Center for American Studies. Certainly just to reiterate, we are delighted and honored to be co-hosting this conference with the Association of Marine Corps Logisticians. We're excited about the growth of the conference. We're excited about all of the attendees, sponsors. This event really is gaining momentum. CNU's Center for American Studies hosts really 4 major events during the course of the year related to national security. Greg already mentioned the Surface Force Projection Conference, co-hosted by the Center for American Studies and the National Defense Transportation Association. We also host a Homeland Security Symposium that's going to be in February of 2025. This summer, we're hosting drone workshops, so 4-day workshops related to drone safety and risk assessment. So understanding the new set of threats posed by drones and drone swarms, primarily to domestic infrastructure, but also, the warfighter and military forces. So should be of a lot of interest to the law enforcement community, emergency managers, and also, the active military. So in any case, we're delighted to be hosting this again with the Association of Marine Corps Logisticians, and we hope you come. So thanks for giving me the chance to chime in, Greg. Let me reiterate that if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to either Greg or to me or to Travis related to the war game. Thank you.
And thank you, sir. And as I mentioned, obviously the Naval X Mid-Atlantic Tech Bridge, not just Mid-Atlantic Tech Bridge, but you guys are the home team, which is fantastic. The Logistics Officers Association, which is the Air Force organization, they've been around. We're excited to come into this space of doing events and so forth, and joining associations. We're around. We may be an old service, the Marine Corps, but we're young in terms of our association. So we got the Marine Corps Association that we're also have some connections there. LOA, they've been tremendously helpful with getting us getting us linked up. NDIA, the National Defense Industrial Association, Mr. Kevin Samples, we're looking. He's probably going to be down to this as well. He's the logistics section at NDIA. So we enjoy. They put on some phenomenal events as well. Women in Defense Logistics, another great organization. As Nathan mentioned, the NDTA, National Defense Transportation Association. Admiral Brown, I got to meet him the other day, and they put on a phenomenal event at CNU as well, and they have a tremendous fall conference as well. So, and then the National Security Innovation Network, Ensign. We've had a couple of speakers from there before. We're looking at hopefully get the. I know we don't have the Marine Innovation Unit up there. There's the Defense Innovation Unit. All are welcome. We are also looking to get the Naval Postgraduate School's Energy Academic Group. They participated, Dr. Eric Hahn out there, and others from the Energy Academic Group will be out. And we're hoping we can get some alum. I'm a Navy Postgrad School alum, so I'm hoping that we'll get a lot of NPS alums out here for this. I think we might be rounds complete on slides.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know we need to
have
some time for Q&A.
So yeah, I think if anyone has any questions, there haven't been any that popped up in the chat yet, but please feel free, and I'm going to share our screens one last time. Some stuff here, but also don't hesitate. You can come off mute too. If you have any questions for Greg or the team. Nathan, I was going to ask, I don't think I saw you, if you wouldn't mind putting your contact info in there, or did you have like good contact info?
Yes.
Joe can put it in if you tell it to him.
Yeah, my email is events@marinecorpslogistics.org. And it will be, yep, there you go, thank you. Just.
Okay.
And if you hit the QR code, well, not these QR codes, the QR code at the front, it'll take you to our registration portal and so forth.
Yeah, and then kind of our last slide here, we'd love for you to take that short survey if you have your phone out, or you can, the link is right there, just a quick survey, helps us for future events. You can schedule a meeting with MATB that Gerald talked about previously, and then you can see, we run all of our events through Eventbrite, so upcoming tech talks that we have. And we will send out the slides, as long as Greg gives me the okay, to everyone who has registered. So I see Ross asked, if there'll be a published attendee list. I'm assuming for GELS. Not for us, it won't be for this.
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
For you.
I will need to get back with you on that. I know some folks don't necessarily want to broadcast like the you know, the whole laundry list of email names, but we'll certainly, you know, our sponsors, we've been posting about them on our, if you follow us on LinkedIn, check, you know, we do post when we have a sponsor that slaps the table, we do post them, so those will be out there. We'll also look to, our speakers and so forth will be published. We're publishing that as we speak, so that's some of those, you know, as I mentioned, some of those speakers are still in invited status. But as far as all of the attendees, and we put, I would hesitate to say we probably will not put that out there per se.
A good question.
But good question, thank you, sir.
Yeah, good question.
Oh, that's excellent.
Any other questions from the group? I think, yeah, great event, August here locally, so hopefully we'll see all of you on here there, and you know, between Nathan, Greg, and Travis, you have all their contact info if you have any questions or concerns, but registration is open. Oh, Eric raised his hand, go ahead, Eric.
Hi, no question, but a shameless pitch, is that allowed?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so, Greg brought up, I'm one of the faculty at Naval Postgraduate School on our G Academic Group. Really looking forward to the gels and talking about uninterruptible installations. Also, just wanted to let everyone know, I just got off a call with Scott Smiley. We're going to be starting a new AMCL chapter, kind of just with general interest meetings first. And this will be at Camp Pendleton. So anyone on the call here who's interested in that, please reach out to me, maybe drop your email in the chat or something so that I have a way of contacting you and letting you know when we're going to be meeting up and chatting. That's all.
No, thanks.
That's great. Excited for that.
That is great. Excellent. Well, any final remarks, Greg, Gerald?
Yeah, I just wanted to, first of all, thanks Greg and Dr. Bush and Travis for all this great information, and just wanted to emphasize that this is a great event. They really put on a first class symposium in partnership with Christopher Newport, but the subject matter is so key to our future as a DoD fighting force and staying in the front. Logistics is absolutely key, and it's changing so much and so rapidly, and our adversaries are their capabilities are changing as well, that getting all of these people together and getting the ideas out there on how we can maintain our advantage is crucial. So kudos to you guys for putting this on and really keeping the focus on the pacing function for our warfighting capability, because it truly is. You know, we focus a lot on bombs and lasers and all that other great stuff, but if you can't get stuff to where it needs to be, when it needs to be there, the battle is lost. So appreciate you guys putting this as a to the forefront of our minds and putting on a great event.
Thank you.
Great, no, well, thank you again, you know, Greg, Travis, everyone who, Dr. Bush, we really appreciate it. Those of you on, again, you will get the slides, so you also have all that information as well, and we do record these, so this will be put up on our YouTube channel, and you will have access to that as well. So thank you again for joining us for our Tech Talk, and hopefully we'll see you again in July. So thank you all.